Well, welcome to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack and Zach are back, and we're wrapping up the year. It's just me and Zach today.
That's
We're
right.
gonna talk through some things. I can't believe it's been a whole year, basically our second year of the podcast, and 141 episodes already published. This will be 142 or 143, and no sign of stopping.
Yeah. It's been it's been an amazing year altogether. Like some of the stories we've heard, the memories that have been brought out, the people that we've been able to track down for this. It's been an incredible year and a lot of fun spiritual experiences, and it's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so many contacts made. Like, we've had people definitely from the whole decade, I think. I think we've had even somebody who came out in 99 all the way to 2010 when it became the Scotland Ireland mission. We've talked to people through that whole span. It's created quite the history, which has been super interesting for us. Like, we definitely listened to all the episodes. We're live with it, and weaving all that together mentally has been pretty cool.
Yeah, I completely agree. And every single one of our conversations has been unique in that, every single person has their own unique experiences, their companions that they served with, the areas they served in, and even we've had some variables of people who went on the mission and were there for a shorter period of time, not for anything negative, but just for the sake of their own mental or physical health. We've had in recent weeks. I mean, it's been pretty cool to hear some of those stories of people that may not have made it the full duration of their call, but it wasn't for negative reasons. It's been amazing.
Yeah, was it about mid-year we put out our call to really reach out to a more diverse group than what we had been getting, and I feel like that call's been answered, right? We've had people from the LGBT community. We've had, like you said, people with mental, physical issues, and we've had people who have been divorced. We've had, I think some of my favorite episodes was we had the name just slipped my mind, but recovering alcoholic.
Devin, Goodwin, that was an awesome one. Yeah,
like for him to come on and share his story and all these different experiences, right, that people have had either on the mission, since the mission, things we've figured out about ourselves, about each other, and that's just amazing. Like, to me, that strengthens the bond and the power of what we've got going here.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously some of our more recent recorded ones that will come out. I mean, we've talked about some of the mental health that people dealt with on their mission, and learning about depression and what that was when we were young. I mean, you and I didn't really see a whole lot of that conversation with the Vrains, I think. And I think that President Sister Frederick really caught hold and realized that that was a pretty prominent thing for people, that whether they knew they were suffering from depression or not, they ultimately saw a way that they could encourage each other to say, okay, it's not me that's causing problems. You have this common thing, especially in Scotland, that you deal with. And, all of us have talked about all the different variables of how we've dealt with those factors in our experience, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's neat to see, now we know that there's a lot more education just in society in general, and also a lot more acceptance of that in the church. Like, you have a real heavy push towards the opportunity to be a service missionary, if that's what suits you. And those things, that just didn't exist. And there was some real stigma around, even if you came home early for, well, I'd say it's a good reason. There's still that stigma, and we've heard from people about that, but we're getting more educated about it. And hopefully even this podcast is helping people to realize, that stuff's real.
Yeah.
It matters because it's real. It doesn't matter that somebody has to deal with it. Like we all have to deal with our things. So
Yeah, exactly. I think to your point, the thought of people who've experienced divorce and split homes and who have gone through challenges with their marriage or whatever, like we all have our own stuff. That I think that's one of the biggest discoveries that has been made through the podcast this year, is that some of our guests have come on and said, yeah, I have a great life, but I'm not quite sure about my mission experience. And some of the things that they've talked through have allowed them to realize more of the joy that came from serving beyond the struggle. And that's been a pretty cool part of our year so far too.
yeah, I was talking to my wife just the other night about how this podcast has changed my perspective on the mission. Like maybe one of my worst nightmares before would not be like me getting called to the Scotland Edinburgh mission again as a nightmare. It'd be like if one of my kids opened their call and it said Scotland, what my reaction would be to that. And before we started this, I would be like, I don't know, like go to Russia or Mongolia or something. But I'm because of the podcast, I'm okay with it now. Like I have a regained sense of pride in the Scotland Edinburgh mission. And it's boosted my faith enough, I guess, to where I could say, okay, that's where you're called. Go forth and serve, and I'll come pick you up when it's over, and we'll go to
Man.
Greg's.
Yeah, that's right. No, I agree. I mean, amongst the chaos that all of us have experienced in one way or another, with our favorite term, the Neds, or just with the culture in general, the football culture, the drinking culture,
The rejection,
yeah, I mean,
religion in general.
goodness, like we've seen it all, and we've seen every reaction to how people see us as missionaries. And you know all of that is fine and well, and many of us who have gone back and walked the streets as a traditional human, is you don't have those same experiences, but that Heavenly Father is watching over you and protecting you. That was probably one of my favorite conversations this year, was when we had Elder, I'm trying to remember his first name, I could see his face, but the elder that got beat up his first few areas. Right? Yeah, is it Jeff, right? If I got his name wrong, I'm sorry, but
we're good with last names, right?
Yeah, when Elder Wright came on and told his story of sticking up for right things and ending up, on the edge of death because of people's choices, and yet still plowing through the mission and really like enduring to the end in the biggest way, because he wasn't like he could just step away and say, okay, I'll get better and come back. Like we talked with Chance Clarkson about, he had something that he couldn't just go home and get fixed and then come back. Like it was a whole reset of his entire mission. And Seth Wright.
That's right. Yeah.
Seth did that and still hung on and walked around Scotland with what I would imagine is the most traumatic experience he's had in his life. Multiple, and still went about loving the people of Scotland and sharing with them, which was amazing in itself. So
yeah, there's been I was telling you before we started recording, I was planning on kind of walking through and writing down some notes of some highlights from this year, but like 80 episodes that we've done this year, and every single one of them could have a highlight from.
Yeah, we've had a couple people that have asked us, you should do a highlight
supercut or something.
That's what my wife has told me, and I'm like, how much time do you want me to spend on this podcast? You're the person who's giving me grief that I'm spending too much time, and you think I should do some of these edits. It's unbelievable. So,
yeah, we could do supercuts of funny stories as well. We've talked about like we could have a supercut of people's bathroom stories alone.
Yes, there is a lot of amazing stories that could be uncovered and reshared very, very easily. So um, just watch out for one of those episodes to drop at some point next year. We'll see if we can put it together and find some good ones. And then we've had some creative ideas too of how to talk to people or to memorialize people. And on one of the last podcasts that I recorded that we'll publish after this, the idea was to get all the companions of an elder after my time period that passed away a few years after getting home from his mission to do a tribute of him for his family and the stories about him and their experiences with him. I thought that was a pretty powerful suggestion of how we can try and involve that elder that is no longer with us on this earth. So, but
that's part of this, right? It's a history as well, and that's one reason we ask everybody who comes on about their memories of the mission presidents and their wives, because we want that recorded for their posterity as well, which we've heard from some of them, some of their families, that they've been listening and enjoying that. So it's definitely part of it.
Yeah, I think that's got to be one of our things this year, is doing everything we can to get the Wilkinsons to come on the podcast. I know that they're still around and probably could trace them down via some social channel, and then also invite the Griffiths to participate. If we can find some more office elders or senior couples to participate. I know we've only had, apart from the Fredericks and the Vrains, Sister Reed, who was a senior sister that served. So right. we'll work on some of those more.
There's still some demographics we need to do better with, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and honestly, this is an opportunity right now to invite those people that feel like you're on the outskirts of something with regards to the Scotland Edinburgh mission. Don't think that your stories aren't relevant or that your experiences with people aren't relevant, because I can assure you that someone who's listening knows the people that you're going to share your experiences with, and they will feel that rekindling of love for those people by you sharing your experiences with them just as much as they have shared theirs with us as well. So,
yeah.
And we've got a list of great missionaries that we had on our schedule, and for some reason or another had cancellations. So we're looking at many of you that listen to this that need to get back in touch with us, and we'll figure out our schedules to get you guys on the podcast this year coming up.
We'll say, if anybody's listening who's intimidated by the technology, we'll walk you through it. Or we'll even find you a companion, somebody who can come and just set it up for you and take care of it. Don't let that be a barrier. Reach out and we'll solve the problem for you.
Yeah, I mean, most of us have access to technology, and whether we are fully versed in how that technology works or not can be a challenge. But I agree with Jack. It's really not rocket science of what we're doing. We're simply just doing a video call and recording it. It's pretty easy. And if you feel more comfortable just talking to the screen without us seeing you and we just hear your voice. I mean, Richard McConkie did that pretty darn well when he didn't have his camera set up.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point in time, let's just try to wrap this up here, Jack. I think the most important thing to remember is, as we're approaching Christmas and the start of a new year, we hope that all of you enjoy time with loved ones, whether that's family, friends, someone you love from Scotland. We hope that you'll have a very Merry Christmas and enjoy the celebration of the end of this year and the start of a new year in 2024 here, not too far away. We will continue to publish podcasts starting shortly after Christmas with a few that we have already recorded. And then we have some more on our schedule as we're coming through the new year that we'll get rolling again. But again, take this opportunity over the holiday to reach out, get on our schedule. We don't have many people scheduled right now going into January. So if January is a good time for us to get together, we'd love to get you on the schedule.
Yeah. Now's your chance, right?
That's right.
So reach out. You can find us at 51spylaw.com and email us directly at S.E.M podcast at 51spylaw.com. And as we say on every podcast, and we truly mean it, we love you. If you're listening to this, we love you. And
yeah,
I
agree.
Been awesome.
I agree. That's one of my favorite parts of every single episode is being able to share love, because I was thinking about it today. I was walking and thinking about the wrap of the podcast, and the reason why we're here is because we have a common love of Scotland, and therefore we have the ability to love each other as brothers and sisters there. And a shout out real quick to all of our Scottish listeners. We know that there's many of you throughout the homeland that are sharing our stories and listening to us and laughing along with some of our young moments in our life that we've made fools of ourselves. But nonetheless, we're so grateful that you're there listening. Please continue to share with those that may have had contact with some of the missionaries on our mission in Scotland, because ultimately sometimes those stories and the conversations that we have will ultimately impact the lives of anyone who is learning about the podcast. So thank you for your support. Just to give a wrap, we are just about at 10,000 podcast listens for our podcast, which is incredible. And checking the statistics on YouTube, we're over 42,000 views. Again, most of those are thanks to Brandon Osmond. We appreciate you boosting our numbers there. But nonetheless, I mean, for just a podcast talking about our mission experience in Scotland, that's a pretty amazing number to know that we have that reach and the people that are listening. So thank you for your support.
Yeah, Brandon's only 50%. So the other 50% totally
right.
organic.
That's right.
It's wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Exactly.
All right.
Well, we love you all. We'll say cheerio, and we'll see you in 2024. Cheerio.